I have been so excited about your journey, particularly on LinkedIn, because there's something about you that's so bold, courageous, and as an entrepreneur who like overthinks everything, seeing you just fully be you really inspires me. And I was wondering, were you born this bullish?
I was born this way. The words of Lady Gaga. Good question. No, I don't think so. But I think my school did a really good job. I went to an all-girls school, and I think that was actually very pivotal in making me attack the world, I'll say, for lack of a better phrase. And I think sport as well played a part in that too.
I was talking to a friend that said that because she went to an all-girls school, so did I. It's just that you never thought you couldn't do anything. There was no thinking you could do this or that. Yeah. So how was school growing up? Were you always going to be Amelia the founder?
No. At school and at uni, I went to Cambridge for uni. I didn't even consider a world in startups or even the thought of being a founder, which is actually, in my opinion, quite bad. Like, it wasn't a culture that was bred. It wasn't something that was encouraged. It was like, maybe you'll be a doctor, maybe you'll be a lawyer, maybe you'll be a banker. But no one ever said. I do think it's changing now with like the zeitgeist. Founders are more in the spotlight. There's role models, but I genuinely didn't consider it. Maybe that's just because I didn't think I could do it.
Yeah. So you went to Cambridge thinking, I'm just going to study hard and then become...
Well, study hard.
I mean, you must have studied hard, right?
No, I did. But I went to Cambridge thinking, like, I just want to have the best time at uni. I want to play loads of sport. I want to smash my degree. And I had no idea what I wanted to do after. And then I fell into banking.
Oh...
And I genuinely felt, because the story there is, my first job out of uni was at Goldman Sachs, and they put this dinner on at Cambridge for the blues athletes, so like the higher level athletes, if you will. Bit nepotistic, if you ask me.
What do you think?
But my friend was organising it, and she couldn't fill a seat. She was like, you have to come. Like, I have to fill the room. Yeah. I said, I don't do economics. Why would I even come there?
To banking, yeah.
She basically dragged me, and then I ended up going to this dinner, sitting next to a couple of people that worked at Goldman Sachs. I was like, oh, wait, you guys are so normal. And they said, don't worry about doing psychology. You don't need to do maths or economics to come into banking. So then I was like, okay, I guess I'll apply. And then somehow landed the internship, which led to the role. So I never actually sat down and thought about what I wanted to do. I very much fell into it.
That is still the dream for a lot of people, to apply for one job and it'd be Goldman Sachs and they just get it.
Yeah, and that definitely, I'm very aware how that sounds. But I'm very aware. But I do, and don't get me wrong, as much as I had a love-hate relationship with that job and like banking wasn't for me, it took me a bit too long to realise it. But it was really good to start my career there and learn what I don't want and what I don't like and what I'm not good at, which set me up quite well. But I do wish I'd had a bit more time to sit down and think, like, what do I actually want to do in life? Because most young people actually don't.
You just fall into things and it becomes your life.
Yeah, you just do your exams, you pick some A-levels, you pick a degree, and then you hope for the best.
Yeah, it was funny because one of my friends, she was like, you didn't really enjoy chemistry studying at uni. She was like, how did you even get into it? And I was like, I don't even know. Like, I was just at school and one time I was picking my options and then suddenly I was just doing, you know, without this sort of considered thought, because you have to just go. But there was something about Goldman Sachs that... not Goldman Sachs specifically, but what's been searched in YouTube a lot is how to build a startup whilst having a corporate job. And I was wondering, do you have any advice to that? Were you building your startup while at Goldman?
Short answer is no. I left Goldman and joined a startup, a supplements brand called Zuki. Shout out Zuki, they're great.
There's the collagen stuff. Yeah.
The liquid liposomal sachets. And that was great because I was in a startup and I was like, okay, this is where I want to be, but I do want to found my own. But I was still working a job. Yes, it wasn't a corporate job, but it was still
a job,
an intense job. And that's when Lydia, my sister and co-founder, and I first had the idea for Ivee, and that's when we were taking it from this idea to a business. And that part, we were working our jobs, and that part is really hard. It's tough because you don't have a product, you don't have customers, you don't have revenue, you don't have investment. You just have an idea in your brain and you're grappling with, should I leave my job to pursue this?
And a couple of things I want to go back to. So people would be really interested about your time at Goldman, if that's if you want to talk about it. But what were the good things there and what were the bad things from Goldman?
The good things were I learned a lot. You're very much in at the deep end. I was in sales and trading, so it was doing foreign exchange. So it was very much like in the markets. There's, there's the shouting, there's the...
Shouting?
Well, shouting and, you're literally shouting trades over the desks. You're also shouting and getting shouted at. Someone called me, I think, the C word once before 7 a.m. in the morning because I misbooked a trade on his behalf. But like that's banking, that's banking. It's super high energy. It's super cutthroat, if you will. And I loved it. It's competitive.
Oh, you loved it? Okay.
Yeah. I really enjoyed that side of things. Apart from when you made a big mistake and someone shouts at you
before 7 a.m. Yeah,
before 7 a.m.
After 4, but
I'm like, please just wait an hour. I
please, yeah. I barely opened my eyes.
But yeah, I really like that side. It was so macro driven. So all of the events in the world, geopolitics affect the markets. And so, we'd had the Trump election, we had COVID, we had all of these not amazing, all of these crazy things that happened in the world. And you could see the direct impact they were having on the markets. And that was really interesting. But for me, it just didn't have the impact that I was looking for. And it didn't have the variation. It was very samey. And I felt like I wasn't putting my mark on the world. I just felt like I was a bit of a cog in a wheel.
So what was it about Goldman? You said you're competitive, you're driven. What was it about it that was like, oh, like I want to do this, because people sort of miss birthdays and miss friends things. Like, what is it about that environment that attracts people to it?
I do almost challenge that and say, does it attract everyone to it? Or do we all just believe that banking is the holy grail?
It does feel like that, yeah.
And do people actually love it? Or does it just pay well and everyone thinks it's a great job, so you're really happy when you get a job there? And again, like, obviously that's just my opinion, but I do believe that to an extent. And like there's that concept of the golden handcuffs where it's like once you're in, and then you can't get out. And I speak to people all the time that are aspiring founders that are at banks, and they're like, I feel very trapped and I feel like I can't get out because now either I've got a mortgage or I've got a lifestyle. Exactly.
Having a lifestyle, having a mortgage, having things that tie you down to... I've got a friend who is actually at Goldman. I don't think she'll mind me saying, but she always wants to be a founder, but she's got this lifestyle to maintain, the Soho House membership. I'm like, girl, you just got to get rid of it,
Exactly.
But she's like, I can't. It's like... Yeah, I just feel like you're just going to have to.
Well, what's interesting is my lifestyle now is way better than... Yeah. Because I've built a personal brand, you get incredible perks.
Do you? What are the perks of it?
Just like, I actually been invited to Soho House, whereas like I never got that in the past. Not that's cool or anything.
Before you'd have to pay for that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and just I actually have time. Like I can come and do this.
Yeah.
Like I'm doing a podcast on my Thursday afternoon. That's so interesting and cool. Right, whereas in banking, I would have been sat in my desk since 6 a.m. this morning, and I would have had to ask my manager to go and pee because it's really hard to leave a desk. So it's like it's a completely different world in a good way for me.
For you, so would you say you work less hard now, or
no? But it's varied. Like this is work.
Yeah.
And
this is work. Yeah.
This is so fun and interesting and enjoyable. So it's varied. Yeah, I was saying to you before that I was on Jazz FM earlier, which is so random but so fun, and that is also considered part of my workday.
So how did Jazz FM reach out to you?
They actually reach out. So they do a founder interview series called Jazz Shapers. When they reached out, I thought, I think they're going to make me perform a song.
Yeah. From jazz. Do you know what's funny? Because I feel like entrepreneurs and jazz, there's a weird synergy there. I think jazz is quite, I don't know, alternative, and you need it to relax.
It's true.
But they didn't make you do any jazz, did they?
Thankfully not. They did put me on the spot and asked me my favourite jazz or soul song. I went for Etta James, Sunday Kind of Love.
Oh, beautiful.
Banger,
absolute banger. We want to talk about when you left Goldman Sachs, you started working at a startup. When did you realise it was the right point to build your own?
There's never a right point, but I was quite tactical in I wanted to join a startup before founding one because I wanted to gain a lot of operating experience. I wanted to learn what a tech stack looks like at a startup, like what tools people are using, the pace of work. what does a small marketing team look like? What does a small sales team look like? That was, for me, definitely the right decision. I think I would have found it much harder to go from Goldman to being
Straight
a
to
founder.
startup, yeah.
Just because all I knew was Bloomberg. I didn't know what any of the startup world entailed. Fundraising, anything. In terms of when the moment was when we knew Lydia she was in VC at that time at Deloitte Ventures and I was at Zuki. We had the idea. We didn't just leave straight away. We need to validate this idea. So we did loads of interviews with users, but also crucially with budget holders. I spent, I think, like £20 on a cold email software for like a month. And we did a mass email to budget holders at quite big companies, like I think any company above 10,000 employees. I remember it was an email we sent to 500 people, basically saying, hey, it was a cold email, basically saying, hey, we've got this idea. We're just looking for insights.
Yeah.
I know this is what your job is. You're a budget holder here. Like, would love to chat. And we got, I think, like a 30% response rate.
That's high.
Yeah. And this
What was in that email? Because cold emails is hard, yeah.
It basically said something along the lines of, hey, I appreciate this email is so out of the blue. I know you're extremely busy, but I have an idea for a startup that I would love to chat to you about. Like, can I have 10 minutes of your time?
Yeah.
And then when they would say yes, I would put in a 20-minute call because, no one's going to say no.
Yeah.
But that was really important because what we did on those calls was we tried to foster an open and transparent environment. And we basically were like, would you pay for this? If we built it, would you pay for it? And the answers that were coming up were yes, we would. Now, take that with a pinch of salt because people aren't going to say necessarily no to your face, but we really got good indications. Like, we got a really good energy. What we also did was a free accelerator, if you will, like very early stage. It was called the Barclays Eagle Labs Product Builder Program.
Nice. You did an accelerator, cool.
It was completely online and it's designed around people who have jobs. So it was like 2 sessions a week in the evenings.
Perfect.
I think they set 50 companies joined, so it was all, a massive cohort. And then they selected 10 to do an in-person demo day. And we were one of those 10 because we'd been like engaged in the in the cohort.
Yeah.
And we went to the demo day and the demo day was just such a good energy. We got really positive feedback from investors that were there. We weren't pitching for investment, but it was just really good feeling. And all of the people there were saying, like, you two are good founders.
Yeah, you're good
founders. And we were like, okay, let's try and raise some money. So at that point, we started we opened our pre-seed round. We didn't have like friends and family, so we went again cold to angel investors and small VC funds. We applied to accelerators. And don't get me wrong, it's a slog to raise that first check.
Yeah.
But we ended up raising about £225,000 as a
really
pre-seed.
good, yeah.
And we got exceptional to the Techstars accelerator, which is they give you it's now 200 grand, but at the time it was 120. They give you that money, you join their 3-month program, and at that point we quit our jobs.
Wow.
So we didn't just have the idea and quit. We validated it. Raised money for it.
Yeah, so you were raising whilst working. This
Yeah.
is amazing to hear because I think people think you just get up, go and start doing it. But you were doing
we
it
were
alongside.
like calls in the evenings, calls in the weekends. I remember we took a week off work. We actually went to Turkey randomly for like a really cheap holiday, and we just did loads of investor calls that week.
Yeah.
Just honing the pitch, iterating.
So where does your and your sister's work ethic come from?
I think a mixture of. I actually think we have a streak from our granddad and our dad. Our granddad, he is a character. He's like proper East London geezer. Like grew up as like a market trader. He's done. I mean, what hasn't he sold and where?
What hasn't he sold?
But honestly, he's sold crystals outside Dalston Kingsland Station. Yeah. He was back when Covent Garden was a flower market. He had a flower stand for whatever he could get his hands on, really.
I love
think that like streak, that kind of hustle, I think has maybe come through, as well as our school.
Yeah.
We worked hard there. They instilled the like work hard ethic.
Was your school quite demanding in terms of, not demanding, but like in a good way?
Yeah, it was in such a good way. Yeah, it really was. It's funny because at school I was like, why do we have a motto? This is the lamest thing ever.
What was the
Whereas
motto?
now it's hope favours the bold.
I love that motto.
And in hindsight, I'm like, yeah, they did instill that.
Do you know what? We had a motto in school. It was founded by a nun called Mary Ward, and the phrase was women in time will do great things. And every time they said it in assembly, we're like, oh, but then you look back and you're like, I think repeating that to people every day, you know, hopefully we've got, you know, women in time will do great things. It does.
But I remember at the time I would be sat in assembly. Oh, shut
you know, what does this even mean? But it was like a good school with a strong work ethic.
Strong work ethic. And I do think sport as well. Like I played lacrosse and then I played rugby. And I do think just like getting physically battered prepares you well for the sheer amount of rejection you face as a founder. Because it is a lot.
Do you face a lot of rejection?
Yeah. It's like the majority of the job.
Do you?
In the first bit.
Because it seems like, you know, you've built such a great brand on LinkedIn. Like who would not want to work with you or under, you know?
That is the crux of it. It's like the highs are so high, the lows are so low, and like any aspiring founder, you do have to know that going in.
What do the lows look like? Like, what is some of your lowest days? Because I really want people to understand building a company, what it takes. Like, some people might hear your story and be like, nah. There was this guy that came on called Charles Robinson. He's now co-founded a company with Bear Grylls.
Wow.
And I remember hearing his story and I was like, you know what? I just don't think that's for me. So is there anything that you could tell people that could put people off?
For me, what I found the hardest is raising money. We are two female founders, which I'll caveat, it's like, that is a bit crap. It's not like, and we're even in a privileged position where we're white female founders and Lydia's ex-VC, and even then...
It's tough. Yeah.
Bloody hell, it's tough out there. But the rejection from investors... But it happens to everyone. It happens to every founder. And I think I kind of went in blindly and a bit delusional, being like, oh, of course we'll raise money. Like,
yeah, of course it's a good idea.
I went to Cambridge and Lydia was VC.
You were Goldman, of course.
Like, absolutely. I know how to crunch some numbers in a spreadsheet. I was humbled.
Really?
Now I've learned to deal with it in a positive way where I know it's not deep. I know it's nothing about my character or our characters. But when investors are coming back to you with really, really honest feedback going, I don't think you're the one to do this.
What would they say? Like
genuinely, they'd just be like, I think the idea is good, but I don't think you two are the ones to build this. I don't think you can build a scalable company. And at that point, I cried.
That is sad. And why would they say that to you?
I think investors... I have a lot to say about investors.
Honestly,
but
say it all, yeah.
I think, especially with some like VC investors, they know they have the power and they know they can sort of say whatever they want. They often have to give a reason because they can't just reject you, so they have to say something. Often might not even be the reason. The reason's often something to do with them. They might just not have the capital. It just doesn't fit their thesis. Their check size is too big. Their check size is too small. It's often that, but sometimes they'll give a reason.
Say something else, yeah.
And they might just say like, oh, this market isn't big enough for us. Oh, we don't think you're the right ones to build it. Oh, you know, you don't have XYZ on your founding team. But at the beginning, I did internalize every rejection.
And that's not going to be helpful, is it?
Yeah, which isn't helpful. But it's like applying to jobs. It really is. And you have to be really, you have to just take every rejection at an arm's length and not
say the yes is coming. It's just part of the...
Yeah, it's like they don't know you. They don't know your story. They've never worked with you. So they're just saying no for reasons on paper, basically. And often it's like they've just glanced at your pitch deck.
Because how well can they know someone for... When you started internalizing it, what would you do to stop internalizing it? Like, how do you find your value that's not based on VC's yes or no?
For us, it was just head down building the business and building out loud and building up a like loyal audience of users, people that love the product. And that is the validation that the investors don't give you. It's like, well, joke's on you. We've got 100,000 users. And
100,000 users?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know, which is cool.
Wow.
And like, joke's on you, we're now making money because you know some investors never thought that we could monetize it and things like that. So what I found value in is just the proofs in the pudding. Like, we've just
show them.
We just sort of show them. And that's what and ironically, it makes them come crawling back.
Does it?
Yeah.
Do people be like hands between their legs like,
Yeah, honestly.
Really?
We get people sliding back into our DMs. And what I've done, and actually this is a really big piece of advice to founders or aspiring founders when you're raising, is we didn't do this at the beginning because we are first-time founders. We were being so desperate. And
desperate energy.
Desperate energy. And it comes across, whether we knew it or not, even going onto a VC's website and submitting your pitch deck
It's desperate energy.
is desperate energy, which is crazy.
That is so...
Which is just ridiculous. But it is reaching out to an investor cold, desperate energy.
Do you think?
Yeah, it all happens behind closed doors. It's happening in WhatsApp threads. It's all warm intros. It's all who you know. It's all, you have to present yourself as an untouchable founder who is doing so well that a VC would be lucky to get a call in with you. And the minute we started actioning that, and it does, you have to believe it for sure. You have to believe that VCs have to earn a call with you.
You've got to believe it though, yeah.
But at the beginning you don't, because you're like, I don't have any money or any users. But now I won't take a call with a VC until they've read our pitch deck and our 40-page white paper.
So you make it harder for people to...
And I'll only speak to partners. So if an analyst or an associate reaches out to me, I say, keen to chat, but I only speak to partners. Please, can you make sure they read the white paper? I can see how long people spend in the document. So I actually said to an investor 2 days ago, who, he was messaging me again asking for a call, and he'd only been in the doc for 20 seconds.
So you knew it.
And I said, hey, I've seen you've only been in the doc for 20 seconds.
You said that? Oh my gosh, this is really inspiring.
I was like, if you're serious about taking a call, I need you to read the white paper. And he was like, absolutely, I'll go and read it. But it rebalances the power. So it's psychological tactics. And that fundraising is a game of psychology. And so you have to maintain as much power as you can, because the VC has the power from the outset. You as the founder need to reestablish that and make the VC chase you, because that's how people, because it's a game of FOMO. It's a game of, I want to get involved in this round. Can I get in? Can I get in? Not, you're begging me. That means no one else is interested.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So these psychological tips, do you utilize them? Do you have other tips? I'm actually
it's all, so warm intros is a great tip. So instead of, let's say I thought, I don't know, Concept Ventures, they're, an early stage pre-seed VC fund in the UK. Let's say I want them to look at my business. I wouldn't go to Concept Ventures website. Ideally I wouldn't reach out to any of the team. I could if I didn't have another in, but I'd try and find it first.
Because you said that's desperate energy. That
is desperate energy. Unless the message is very well crafted, which it can be. Maybe I'll come on to that in a sec. But ideally, you want to find someone that's has very high social value in your network, that's connected with someone. So you can go on LinkedIn, you can see who's connected, blah, blah, blah. And then you want to send them a forwardable blurb and say, hey, can you ping this over to... And you want to, find the right partner that looks at deals in your area. And that forwardable blurb should be extremely well crafted. You should iterate that, ping it out to as many people as you can to get an opinion on people that are in the VC. So ideally you can find a friendly junior at a VC, not to invest in you, but just to read it and help you write it. But it should basically say something along the lines of, hey mate, wanted to
partner, hey mate, but it's also putting them on the level of just
because this is coming from someone that knows the partner, so it's coming from that high back, it's a forwardable message. So it would say probably wouldn't say hey mate, but they would know them. Hey Simon, wanted to flag. Let's just use Ivy in this example. Wanted to flag Ivy. They're absolutely crushing it and have a crazy growth trajectory, 0 to 1 million ARR in less than 6 months, and backed by Steven Bartlett, angels from Boulderton and Microsoft AI. I think they might open a seed round soon. They're not going public with it, but let me know if you want an intro. Something like that, where you've wet the whistle, you've shown, in our case, it would be ARR, revenue metrics. But if it's a pre-seed startup, you don't need that. You need the founding team. So ex Goldman, ex Deloitte VC, or whatever that might be for you, yourself or your co-founder, wetting the whistle with maybe current investors that are interested. If you don't have any investors, you could say, maybe you have advisors, or maybe you have an early letter of intent from a big enterprise. It's those subtleties. And it's not you're not saying, hey, they're desperate for an intro to you. Can I connect you?
Give you a favour, get you in.
It's, do you want to meet with them? I don't even know if they're taking meetings, but I think the word on the grapevine is they're about to open a round. That's the vibe you want to get.
That is, so you incredibly strategic.
You have to be with fundraising, really? Which is a shame, because it's not, it means the best guy. Obviously, it's not to be gendered, the best guy or girl, the best guy doesn't win. It's the person with the best network. It's the person with the best blurb that they've crafted. It's the person that creates a good power dynamic. It's the person that creates good FOMO. Those people are the ones that win at fundraising. It's not necessarily the person with the best business, which is a shame.
It's a shame, but hopefully people can watch this podcast, because the game is the game, and until it changes, this is kind of the rules you've got to play by. But I would be so scared about doing that. How do you just feel like, nah, I'm going to take a call with a partner, and you've not read it, so I'm not going to take a call?
Well, it took me a year to even get to that stage, I guess, is the first thing. But in hindsight, I wish we'd done that from day one. It would have made it so much easier for us to raise that first round. So you're raising for like 6 months, maybe.
6 months, whoa. Yeah.
The average raise is 6 to 8 months right now. So it's definitely a slog. But I'm so confident to do it now just because I've had so many funds waste my time that I'm like...
wasted your time?
Yeah, that now I'm kind of like, fuck you guys. If you're going to waste my time, I'm going to put some guardrails up so that my time doesn't get wasted by people going forward.
Because as a founder, your time is everything, isn't it?
Because founders also forget that VCs, especially juniors, have their benchmarks, their KPIs are just meeting founders. So they'll happily have meeting after meeting with founders. They're not necessarily ever going to write you a check. Whereas as a founder, if a VC reaches out to you, you're like, oh my God. They're going to invest.
We'll
be a millionaire.
But it's not the case.
But that's not usually the case. It's just their job is to meet with founder after founder after founder. And founders definitely forget that. I didn't know that at the beginning.
That's their job.
That's their job. And the chances are they are not going to write you a check. And so actually it's how can you switch it?
I think there's something that we have to switch about the dynamic between VCs and founders. I used to intern at a VC, which was amazing. They were actually a really great VC. Shout out ETF Partners. But people would message an intern that had come out of uni like, please, can I get a intro? Can we have a call? And you're just thinking, I just think it's not good for life for people to always be begging you for, because then you feel like you're, I don't know. I just feel like it does something to your ego that's not good.
Yeah. And like I draw a lot of parallels with thinking of it from like as a sale as well. Like you're selling just like a salesperson sells a product. Your product is your business. You're looking for investment. You're looking for the sale. And if someone was trying to sell me something and they were like cold DMing me on LinkedIn with a crap message, you obviously wouldn't respond. Whereas if a friend said to you, you've got to try this product, it's life changing, you would maybe check it out. And so it's just, thinking about all of the tactics, because it is you're a salesperson, and selling is actually the number one thing founders do in the early stages. You're selling yourself to investors, to clients, to potential hires. Like you're just constantly trying to get people to believe in you, believe in the mission, and join you when it doesn't even exist yet. And do you know who's really good at that is our investor Steven Bartlett, and I speak to him about it a lot, and he's like,
that's amazing. Yeah,
he's like so bullish on just being a salesperson and selling the vision. And like when he started his first company, the reason he did well is because he convinced someone really high up in advertising, is when he was founding Social Chain, to basically be a co-founder to someone that was so unknown and a business that didn't yet exist, but he did a good job of making that man believe in the mission. And like that's what you just have to do early on.
But selling is about like repeating your story again and again. How do you do that without being salesy and having to remind them? Because even I'm thinking of clients that I have to text to remind them, they've gone a bit cold. But if I'm texting you again, this obviously means I need you.
I actually have kind of it's not really a controversial opinion, but with sales, I actually don't believe in like if you are messaging someone and messaging them, they're not buying your product. Like that, the sales not there. And so,
do you think? But do you know what? There's a guy that messaged me like, this sounds crazy, about 10 times, and I did eventually buy what he had. I was looking for what he had. It just wasn't the right time when we.
Fair. I do think with investors though, it's like if they wanted to, they would. And it was almost.
Do you think?
It's almost simple. Maybe I just learned that the hard way, that no one wanted to.
Okay, yeah.
But okay, actually that's not necessarily true. A good tip is don't keep going to them being like, hey, have you thought of us in a while? But start investor updates. So investor updates, we do a bi-monthly. So once every 2 months, we send an email to all of our warm investors. So people we've taken calls with that have expressed interest, even that have rejected us. They're in an email list, and because we've gone really big on brand, it is a really good email. Like, I spent a long time writing it, and obviously it's only showing the great things. And whenever we send that out, we get VCs replying like, oh, hey, can we pick up where we left off? Can we have a call?
So there's no need for you to go there.
But what I would never do is go back on our personal chain and be like, hey, can we have another call with you?
Oh, you wouldn't do that.
Because that's coming back to the point of like the proof's in the pudding. I'd rather just have them on my email list, send them our incredible updates of how well we're doing, and then make them come to us.
Yeah. I just feel like that works in life and even in dating too. And I just, random segue, but how do you keep your relationships as a founder?
Like with friends and partners and stuff.
And family.
It's a good question. It's definitely hard. We do a good job of it.
Do you?
Yeah, we do. Like,
good for you guys.
Lydia has a partner. I have a partner. I actually met my partner about a year ago, like when we were balls deep in.
How did you find time for that?
Thankfully, it was a setup, so I didn't have to go into the trenches.
You have to go to the trenches of Hinge.
I actually was in the trenches of Hinge for like 2 months, and I was like, I cannot do this alongside running a business. It's awful. But yeah, we do a good job. We work really hard, but we'll make time. What I actually have been finding recently, literally in the past couple of months, is like I feel like I'm actually not being as present as I want to be with my friends. Which,
do you still have friendships and stuff? I know that sounds really bad.
I do have friends. Yeah.
Sorry, no, that sounds like it's just some people, sacrifice it all.
Yeah, I would never not. Like, I would always make time for friends, but I like a great example is we have a friendship group, but there's 8 of us girls, and whenever it's someone's birthday, someone organises the present, we all chip in.
Oh, good, yeah.
I'm never the organiser, and I'm so aware of that. And I don't like it, I don't like just being the one that's like, sounds good, I'll transfer you £20, because
that's the easy part, isn't it?
That's the easy part. Yeah. I want to be the one that's,
hey guys, let's do this.
Got the idea and orders the present and wraps the present. So that's, I guess, maybe just like a subtle example of, you've definitely got to like maintain them. But then, like last month, I organised a hiking trip for my friends, and like I organised that. So it swings and roundabouts, but some founders, they're fully locked in. I personally think that's a recipe for disaster and burnout, and your whole identity is tied to the business, and then if the business fails, you've got nothing left. Nothing.
And you do have people calling back to people that's like, you've just not been present. People have sort of moved on, which is crazy. So you don't believe in, nice segue into Harry Stebbings, sort of the working all the time, forgetting about everything else. I know you had that bit of a tiff on LinkedIn, if that's
it was crazy actually. That I did call him out, rightly so, because there's the 996 argument, which is you must be locked in, be sleeping in a tent in the office, like doing this crazy stuff.
I think I was mentioning to you, I swear it was more than 996, because I think 996 is not, it's okay, but it's like at least you have one day off. I swear they were saying 24/7, but anyway,
it wouldn't surprise me. I disagree with that, but then I also disagree with the fact that people saying you can have an amazing work-life balance. I don't think you can have that as well to be a founder. And again, what does being a founder mean? Because some founders are building lifestyle businesses.
Yeah, that's a founder. Yeah,
and that works, and you absolutely can have work-life balance. I think if you're building a venture-backed business and you want to be on the treadmill, because it is a treadmill, like once you raise VC money, and this is something that some founders don't realise. You might think, oh my gosh, a VC wants to write me a £2 million pre-seed check. I've made it. This is incredible. But what you then have is you have a VC on your cap table that is expecting results. They're expecting hyper growth at all costs. So you have to burn through that cash, and you have to show results extremely quickly. And that's the fundamental reason why most startups fail. that raise money because they have to spend that money really quickly because the VC is on their back. And we're not at that stage yet because we haven't raised like anything over 250,000 from a single fund. So we don't have any of these like massive VCs on our cap table. But founder friends that I know that have raised massive rounds are like, fuck, oh my God,
Really?
I've got to... Yeah, and it's so stressful because you have to perform, you have to show results, and you've raised this money when you don't know what the F you're doing. You don't know if your product's right. Most MVPs are not the product that they eventually are going to be. So you're pouring all this money onto like Meta ads or TikTok ads or random
just trying to...
partnerships, and you're just trying to make it work. So my advice is always, I don't know, really... I try and be as frugal as you can for as long as you can, and just make sure that you're as close to product market fit as you can be before you raise a massive round.
I agree, because even with the podcast, sometimes I look at it as a product, and I get quite like, I see other podcasts that have raised. I don't know if you've seen like podcasts are raising money these days, and I'm always thinking, oh, that would be really nice. But it's like, this podcast wasn't ready to raise those money because we didn't even know what was working. Like, I think there's beauty in finding cheap ways to do things, not burning through things just because you can. And
also, like, a great example is Ivee. Our product today is not the product we built. We've done a huge pivot.
Yeah.
Had we raised a £2 million first round, that cash would have been burned on a product that doesn't even exist anymore. So I think that's testament to how much you do change in your first year, 2 years of trading, and actually potentially raising a smaller amount means you're more nimble to change.
Yeah.
Which is weird to think about, because you might think surely having way more money in the bank means you can pivot way more. Well, actually it doesn't, because that money in the bank means you have a fund who wants you to go really hard on that initial idea that they funded.
But
and
they
so
think it's good,
you're so tied to pleasing them that you're not exploring product market fit, and like you're not actually listening to the market.
Yeah, so I would love to know what was Ivee before and what is Ivee now?
Ivee started as a recruitment platform solely for people returning to work after career breaks, mainly women. That's what happened to our mum. Lydia and I watched it happen, and we wanted to solve it.
So what happened to your mum? She couldn't find...
She left the workforce, took a career break. In her case, it was for caregiving, and then had a struggle to get back in. Like it was tough for her. She was trying to get back in for about 3 years.
3 years?
Just rejection. She had been director level, she was an accountant, and she just couldn't get anything. And she ended up taking a 60% salary cut to be a receptionist. And we realised what a waste of talent.
She couldn't get a job as an accountant.
She couldn't get a job as anything. Yeah. And at that point, there was loads of tailwinds. DEI was still top of mind. People cared about this problem. And then Trump got elected.
And then DEI.
And then DEI got slashed. And then AI happened to the workforce. And vacancies were being cut. And we were looking at this, and we were already starting to do AI training. And the amount of interest in that just skyrocketed. And we were getting thousands of messages from people saying, can I sign up to Ivee? I know I'm not on a career break, but I'd love to learn about AI. So for us, it was such a natural evolution to become an AI upskilling platform, to be able to help teams, individuals, job seekers, everyone, because fundamentally, you're not going to land a job if you don't know AI in 2026, and you're not going to get promoted if you don't know AI, and it's just completely reshaping everything. And everyone's very confused.
I really want to go onto your platform, because another point of this podcast is, how do you and your sister learn AI stuff so fast? Like every time I see you on LinkedIn, you're like teaching people how to use Claude Code. It's like, what are you guys doing to just upskill yourself that quickly?
We've built a really good environment for learning quickly. So whenever, we have feelers. When I say feelers, we have tech that, that essentially alerts us as to what new tools are coming out, who's raising loads of money. For example, I know Granola, I got alerted to yesterday, just raised Series C. So for us, that's a great indication that product's going to continue to evolve. have really cool new features. So we're watching Granola, for example, which is an AI meeting note taker. Or we also analyze every job description that's written globally every day. Obviously, we don't read them as humans. Our algorithm does. And so we can see what tools are people asking for on job descriptions. And that all of that comes together so that we can... Let me try and phrase that in the right way, sorry. All of that comes together to lead us to which tools we should be learning. We learn them really quickly. We do that with lunch and learns. Everyone in the office always has YouTube videos up in 2x speed, watching, consuming. We're playing around with the tools. We reach out to the tools to get free trials, to just test it. We ask for loads of credits. I'm trying a really good tool, actually. It's called Codewords. Don't think it's live yet. It's really great for natural language automations. And I was chatting to their founder and I was like, hey, can you just add $100 to my account? I'll play around with it. If I like it, we'll talk about it. And so we kind of have that narrative. But any company should reach out to AI platforms and go, hey, can we try it? Can you credit us? Because if we like it, we'll buy it for our team. And AI, there's so many AI companies now that they're all fighting for visibility. So we have my favorite Slack channel is called Innovation Station. So whenever anyone finds or hears about a new product, we'll put it in the Slack channel and then the rest of the team can learn it. Usually what will happen is one of us will learn it. And if we think it's worth telling everyone, we'll put in an emergency meeting and teach it. So
so you learn it, then teach it.
Yeah, we learn it, then teach it in a morning. This could all happen.
What's a lunch and learn?
Lunch and learn is literally we put in half an hour with the team and I'll be like, guys, I've just downloaded Whisperflow, which is an AI dictation tool. I think it's great. I think we should all use it. Let's discuss it in a lunch and learn. And then everyone learns it. If they want to use it, they can go away and use it. If not, everyone knows it. We can then teach it because we're an upskilling platform. We also have educators and we have what we're building out now is a fleet of educators. So that, because traditionally it's been myself and Lydia that have done all of our instructing on the platform.
I've seen you do that,
And now, which as it should be, everything should be founder led until it can't be.
Yeah.
And we're now at the stage where it can't be, but our bar is really high for people to teach because
is it? That sounds really exciting.
Because we have a secret sauce, which is you've got to be able to keep people engaged because no one likes sitting behind a webinar and listening to a really boring session on AI. So it has to be interesting. You have to have a bit of je ne sais quoi
about you.
And that's what we're screening for at the moment.
So you're going to have fleets of learners that teach people these webinars, these tools.
Yeah.
So it's really pivoted.
Yeah, we still have our recruitment arm. We still place talent.
Yeah.
But the way we can do that successfully is if that talent is AI fluent. Otherwise, we could have, job seeker after job seeker joining the platform. But if they don't know these tools,
what's the point?
You can't get hired in 2026 without having them. Yeah. It's crazy. Most jobs are now asking for some level of AI fluency.
I think people were resistant to, people were saying we don't want AI trying to stop it. Now it doesn't, it's coming. It's here, if not, Yeah, that's really, really cool. And you've built one of the biggest entrepreneur personal brands on LinkedIn and very, very, very fast growing. Do you have any tips for anyone who wants to build their brand on LinkedIn?
I would say to anyone thinking about building a business, you must build a personal brand.
You must.
Yeah, and I know some people are going to be sat there rolling their eyes going, oh no. But it's never been easier to build a business. The barriers to building product, tech or physical, have never been lower, and they're just getting lower and lower and lower. You can use Lovable to spin up an MVP in a day. That used to take 3 months and 10 grand
with multiple people. Yeah,
with software developers. So what is winning is brand, which is crazy. The whole the idea of an entrepreneur is moving so much further away from being technical. This old Zuckerberg ideal is being replaced by someone that really fundamentally understands brand and can build a brand, because anyone could build a product now. So my main piece of advice is build one. Consistency, having an opinion, having your face, literally your face, whether it be a selfie, whether it be a video, on these platforms, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, is really important. Know where your audience lives. If you're building a supplement brand, like Salt is a great example.
I love Salt, yeah.
They're building out loud really well.
But how do you have the confidence? Sorry, I don't want to interrupt. Do you just not care like what people think? Sorry, I know that sounds...
No, it's a really good question. It's more that I know what it will do for the business revenue-wise. So it's almost like I can have personal opinion, but actually like this is going to bring money in for the business. So I need to just put on my big girl pants and do it. I really enjoy it, but I know some people don't really enjoy it. And my favourite quote, embarrassment is the cost of entry. Like, you might suck at the beginning, but if you never post and show up every day and learn what works, what doesn't, what the algorithm likes, you will never build that brand. You will never build that business. And
gosh, yeah.
Yeah, so it is just, you just have to jump and show up.
Because what is the alternative?
But you can use AI to really help you. There's a great tool called Poppy AI where essentially you can emulate, you can find well-performing content from other founders or brands or whoever it might be, and not copy what they're doing, but draw inspiration through AI so that you don't have to sit down and go, okay, how can I think of a really amazing idea? You can actually say, oh, I saw Amelia did a post about, I don't know, the highs and lows of her week and in a carousel format.
How can I do
that?
The same? Yeah.
So, you know, you can piggyback on what's working for other people,
so is
which
that
is
your
less
process?
cringe.
Yeah. Is that your process?
It's actually, we do it at Ivee for our company content. Like we have a great engine that runs in terms of our like tech stack. For my personal LinkedIn, I do for our AI stuff when I'm posting like tips and tricks. I'll follow a format. I'll look at like well-performing hooks, well-performing content.
Okay, so it's like a scientific.
But if I have a strong opinion about something, like when I called out Harry Stebbings, you best believe I was just on my phone, just typing away. So it depends. But you could do it without having to ideate yourself. I guess that's what I'm saying. For anyone that isn't comfortable with content, you don't have to be the one that ideates it. You don't have to be the one that writes your scripts or your captions.
You're saying Poppy can do that?
Yeah, there's many tools like Claude, Poppy AI, like loads, really.
But how do you prevent your content from sounding like AI slop? Because it really does sound like you. It felt like, you know, you're kind of no different from your content.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's such a compliment.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's like really authentic. Because some people I see and they've written in a certain way that it's good content, but it's like, it doesn't sound like.
I'd never take an AI caption and just put it on. I'd go really hard in my first prompt. So I basically write the vibe of it, and then I'll be like, do not change this tone, do not change this vibe, just ham it up a bit, and you know, maybe add some stuff, maybe take away some stuff, and then really simple stuff. I'll go in and I'll capitalize words. I'll add, you know, if I'm give my secrets away, but if I'm right, you know, if I have the word like, this was only a tiny part of our business, I'll add like 5 I's to the word tiny, so it becomes tiny.
Because that's not AI.
I would never do that.
That's really interesting. So I guess people can use other things that makes it feel more like them.
Yeah, and that's why your face, like a selfie, a video, that could never be AI because it's you.
Because it's you.
People that make AI infographics and put them on LinkedIn, I'm like, get in the bin. I hate it. I really hate it.
Because we have clients, we also do AI content for people, and they're like, oh, just put it in Gemini Pro and get an AI info. It's like, it ain't working, mate.
Yeah, the algorithm doesn't like that.
Yeah.
Because LinkedIn is going, because again, it's like, you have to understand why the algorithm exists in the way it does. LinkedIn need people to be on LinkedIn. That's how they make money, through ads. LinkedIn hate AI slop because it means people aren't coming to LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is penalising content that looks and sounds like AI slop. So your content just won't get pushed by the algorithm. Yeah,
which is exactly what you don't want. So my final question for you is, what does the future look like for Amelia?
The future looks like Ivee continuing to soar and smash it. We want to, by the end of next year, be between 2 and 5 million in ARR. We want to, you know, essentially more than triple the business. We want to be able to upskill 1 million people over the next year. we're at about 100,000 now. It's a big goal, but we want to make sure our North Star is that no one is getting left behind with AI, whether it's teams, whether it's individuals. And fundamentally, we need to reach as many people as we can to do that. And we want to continue to build our team out, continue to foster a great culture of learning. We want to, we were actually talking yesterday about having like our own floor in an office. And that's our goal. It's just continue to build. Like, we're having so much fun building the company.
You guys look like you're having so much fun.
Like, my goal isn't to make loads of money and exit and move to Barbados. No, like, I'm having so much fun actually doing our everyday. So I almost don't want to ever like get too big that you lose that, because that like beginning stage of a business, they always say, is the good old days.
And you're in the good old days.
Which is good, but you don't want to get too corporate, that's for sure.
Well, Amelia, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I've learnt so many insights that I can't wait for people to hear. And thank you for just being an inspiration for women, the boldness, your attitude to learning, your attitude to just getting things done when they need to be done. So I'm really inspired.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.